Hello, everybody. It's Michelangelo Badio, and we have a really interesting topic tonight, jazz progressions. Now, what I did was when I was very earlier in my guitar playing life at 10 years old, I actually had a guitar teacher that was a jazz guitarist, and I didn't know, and I wasn't even, it's funny, at the time, I didn't really know what kind of music I liked yet. And, the radio at that time played a little bit of everything. So, it wasn't like I was locked into a genre, but I did study jazz guitar in the earliest years of when I started playing. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit. And then I want to do the shout outs. I see Nick already and Denny and Roxana. And let's see, there's Tanya, Alexis. I said Denny already. Brett. I said hi to Nick. It's always good to see Nick online, as well as Denny. I already said hi to Roxana, and then hi to Sasha as well. And let's see, I saw Kate, Maria, Pedro. There's a lot of people online already. And John, how you doing from the UK? Yes, I love. You know what? I might be touring in England this year. We just found out, because the COVID restrictions and, I'm vaccinated and stuff, so that's not the issue. But it's they've reduced the restrictions to nothing. And so it would be pretty easy for me to fly from Europe, mainland Europe to the UK. And I've been there a million times. I would love to go back to England and play. Okay, anyway, now, why does this... Why should I use that playing jazz progression? Because Joey wants to do it. See, Joey thinks he's the star. He thinks he can just play and play, and then nobody cares about him. All they care about is Joey. Okay, enough of that. I'm in control. No, you're not. I'm in control of this show. It's Joey. Okay, Robert's just angry. I told you, I'll say it again. If you've ever seen the first Avengers, when Bruce Banner is in the city and they need him, and Robert Downey Jr. starts telling the Hulk to suit up. What does Bruce Banner say? You know what my secret is? I'm always angry. Robert's always angry. He just wants to shred. Yes. Now, the guitar I'm playing, and then I'll get back to the jazz progressions. This is called the M24, the ST M24 in satin black. This guitar is amazing. 24 frets. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it, and it's really inexpensive. I mean, I just did a big session yesterday doing jazz style chords and almost like Santana-like lead lines. And I used my ES Hybrid. It sounded absolutely amazing. And the one thing about Sawtooth guitars, I'm just saying it right now, a lot of companies are seeing what we're doing where we use different woods that are not endangered. Instead of rosewood, we use sandalwood. We'll use different woods. This guitar is super light and it's really inexpensive, and it's on sale now. And it sounds fantastic. I have recorded so many projects in the last couple of years using Sawtooth guitars. We're talking some big time stuff. They sound fantastic in the studio, and the intonation, even on the acoustic guitars, it's great. We are premiering a vocal song tonight at midnight, so tomorrow morning, and so right after midnight, my version of the Nine Inch Nails song "Hurt." Now, what I did is I listened to Trent Reznor's and Johnny Cash's, and so the thing that I love about this version, I'm singing one voice. That's it. One acoustic guitar, drums, bass, course, we had to add the guitar solo. Why? Because it's my song. I'm going to add a solo. And see at the end, and then I do this wang bar thing. It's like, wow. And we add it. It just sounds really cool. And so, but you've got to hear this version of Hurt. It's really great. And so the YouTube debut will be at midnight tonight. And then it's going to be the audio version will be available tomorrow too. But I'm really proud of it. It came out great. All the people that I play with are my lifelong friends. They're all really successful in life and as people, and they're great players and great, engineers. So I'm really proud of it. Now, getting back to this, jazz progressions. Now, I'm using this M24 Satin Black. It just sounds great. Now, one thing, when I studied jazz as a boy, my teacher was great because what we did is I learned very early on to use a comp style. So what you'd do is you'd hit a note like a bass note, and then you would use your fingers to brush up. And what I love about today's generation of guitar players is it reminds me very much of me growing up. See, because for a while there in the 90s and the grunge era, which I really loved that era of music. I mean, I loved the sound of Chris Cornell's voice and some of those songs, Eddie Vedder, like, "It's Not For You." I love that. This is a song I wrote called "It's Not For You. We Don't Like You." And so, like, perfect. I love it. Oh, it's not for you? Well, who is it for? Your grandmother. And so, who is this song for? But I love that song. "It's Not For You." Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun, Alice in Chains. Jerry Cantrell told me, he goes, I said in an interview one time that I really liked Alice in Chains. And he goes, "Michael, I never thought a guitarist like you would like what I do." I love what they do. But I also know this, that it was an era in guitar playing where solos were frowned upon, innovation. Like, look at what we do now. I mean, look at just the latest Shred collab I was on with Jared Dines. I mean, these guitar players are innovative. They're playing clean sounds. They're using distortion. That's what I grew up on. I didn't grow up just playing Black Sabbath. I grew up playing jazz songs. I grew up listening to George Benson or Wes Montgomery or Joe Pass, and then listening to, Sabbath and Zeppelin. It was like even the top 40 radio at the time it wasn't genre specific. It was all genres. It was just, if it was a popular song, it was so much different than today in that regard. Now you have, satellite radio, 70s. 60s, Ozzy's Boneyard. You have this, Everything's compartmentalized and it's isolated from, areas we didn't do that because we are in deep cuts of the record. So we listened to like Steely Dan or Jethro Tull, but we didn't play the hits. We played the deeper cuts, the more meaningful music. Shut up. It's like, shut up already. See, when I grew up, you would hear Earth, Wind, and Fire. You would hear Jethro Tull, your Led Zeppelin. You would hear all of it together. And so my musical upbringing was all styles like it is now. See, that's the beauty of what guitars is being experienced now, because these young players are studying jazz, they're studying shred, they're studying blues. How dare somebody say an arpeggio is, "It really sucks, bro. It totally sucks. Sucks, dude." Why? I don't know. It just sucks. It ain't no Nirvana record. Well, so what? Neither is, John Petrucci's not on a Nirvana record either. And so, but today's guitar players are so similar. Now, granted, the techniques are just beyond right now today, which I love. But the idea that you learn different styles. So here's what I did. When I was younger, when I first started studying jazz, and I'm talking about I was 12 years old. And so I learned like chords like A minor 7, G major 7, C6, so, and I used to C6, and so there was a song on the radio at the time called Stormy, and it was, then it had C6, chorus. That in. But anyway, and then I learned the solo. I went like, I learned Wes Montgomery octaves. I love octaves. George Benson's one of the fastest octave players I've ever seen. And I saw him at a place called Ravinia in Chicago, second row, with one of my all-time best friends, my music attorney, Glenn Rice. We go to see gypsy jazz concerts when we can. But anyway, when I watched this, I learned all these techniques when I was a boy. This is before I learned that I could shred. I still love that thing. I can do this all day. You know how long I can do this for? So, getting back to this, I love to digress and change the subject. Why? Why not? And so people can follow. When I was younger and learning all these chords, and then I would. I would learn these solos, and I had a really great jazz teacher. So what I did was, I got into rock. As soon as I started hearing distortion, I became an Iron Man! But one of the songs that I played actually before was the first Black Sabbath. So what I like is that I started listening to really heavy music. Somebody said they want to see me shred live. Well, let's do a little shredding here, and then I'll get back to the jazz thing. Okay, so I feel much better now. It's like Hal in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. I feel much better now. Now, let's talk about some jazz stuff here. Here's one of the things. Yeah, it's live. Somebody was at live? Yeah. I'm just goofing around, having fun. Just making it up as I go along. Okay, anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, thinking internally, what I'm going to play. Let's see. Best wishes from Germany. Great. Now, here's what I did. What I started to do after I started in jazz, and then I realized girls like rock. Most girls that in my era growing up, they were like, jazz just sounded like noise. I mean, you could play something like. So what I learned was that most people enjoy less notes like that. Like it's so outside. Even like when you do this as a guitar player, when I just you might be in the key of E, and then I'll start into going like this. What does that have to do with the key of E? Virtually nothing. But what I do is I'll end it. I'll end on an E, or I'll end on a chord note. Yeah, Charlie Christian. That's actually, and Django Reinhardt. I played some of that too, exactly. Now, what I learned about jazz is this. One of the things that you want to do as a student of the craft is when you are practicing, I still believe in these simple warm-ups. A few of these live streams ago last year where I brought up my Hanon book, and I brought the 3 piano books that I use, and also on the new song Hurt, I play keyboards on it, but I mean, it's the Nine Inch Nails song, so I'm not riffing all over the place, but I'm going to make a concerted effort to show everybody and release more content. I'm a good keyboard player, and it is my second instrument. I played it my whole life, and keyboards my whole life, and I really enjoyed playing the keyboards, and I highly recommend, no matter what instrument one plays, learn how to play piano, even if it's just basics. It's because it's right there in front of you. It's almost like a roadmap. It's like having your own GPS. One octave is the same as the next octave. That's the same as the next. It's just this blueprint that's right in front of you, and you just can't take that for granted. And so what I started doing is when I got to be like a later teenager, I revisited my jazz roots. And I started taking jazz lessons again, and I started doing a lot of what the author of Stormy that you had mentioned, by the way. Oh, it's delightful. Yeah. The song Stormy, somebody mentioned this on. I'm trying not to change subjects too much, but the song Stormy, I have to say this, John Legend completely stole it. When he goes, save room for my love. Save room for my love. I'm surprised he didn't get sued like, Robert, I think is Robert Thicke, for the song Blurred Lines, stealing it from Marvin Gaye. John Legend completely ripped off Stormy, completely, and nobody ever busted him for it. But Stormy was such a great song. And and that's one of the earliest ones I learned. I also learned the Doors song Light My Fire. But I came up with a jazz chord arrangement. I went, So anyway, I've learned a lot of these chords very early on. And what I did was, with the help of one of my teachers, we came up with these jazz progressions. And this is what we have available. It's not just enough, at least in my book, to, just do all, like all the different exercises that I showed. For example, I still do these basic ones. Yes, and do I do fusion rock? Yeah, my song Time Traveler. Somebody asked, all you need to do is play this chord. And it's like say fusion. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. See what it is? It's a slash chord. So in rock, here's a slash chord. Here's a really... So when you hear this, that's the Steely Dan chord. See? Watch. Somebody asked the name of it. It is the bass note, whatever you want. For example, here, it's an A bass over an E chord. It's called a slash chord. So you would see like A/E. So you can play it like this, which is a nice way to play it. But you can also make it more stylized and play it like this. Those higher voices make it sound more ethereal and more like, it's so cerebral. It's like it gives me that feeling like, I guess I'm so much better and smarter than everyone else. So it's a really nice sound, and I use that a lot. I had a fusion song that I wrote on my first album called Outside Inside. And then I went like this. And I used all those chords. And then I had another song on my Intermezzo album called 5 Forever. And it was a play on words because it was a tribute to Dave Brubeck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the lead was like, and so it's like, then. But it's a really great song. And then kind of the turnaround is like. And so you hear. Somebody asked if this guitar comes with a whammy bar in white. The satin black does not, but this guitar is like around $300 something. It's really inexpensive. That sounds amazing. I don't want to play junk. I never have. And the thing about Sawtooth that I've said over and over the past couple of years, they just know how to manufacture better. And now a lot of other companies are picking up on what we're doing. And so, we used woods that the elitists would say, oh, no, you can't make a guitar sound good. Or like we developed a hybrid guitar using humbuckers and single coils that I actually had talked to my former company before the owner died to build something like that. Oh, no, it can't be done. No, you can't do that. We're Sawtooth. We don't say no. We say yes. Let's see it. And it works. And I've used that hybrid in countless sessions over the last couple of years. It sounds amazing. I mean, when you add that single coil and then underneath it, you've got the girth of the humbucker and then the intonation is dead on. At studio, listen. I mean, I've been beating the heck out of this guitar. You don't see me tuning it up. I mean, this is an inexpensive guitar, but if this was through another company, add $200 or $300 more. We just know how to build them better. And so we're not trying to skimp. We just give you the best value guitar for the price you want to spend. And this is amazing. This is like my go-to riffing guitar. I just love it. Now, getting back to these jazz chords, somebody had mentioned, what is that? It's a slash chord where you take one bass. See, I was doing this song the other day, yesterday, where I was playing C sharp minor 7, but it was over an A bass. So it becomes A major 9. See, it sounds pretty. And so what, instead of now, if I just played those chords alone, it would be, that's weird, isn't it? But just to add that extra note on the bass, see, it just adds a whole new character. And like, Rick Beato, the real popular guitarist, that's a theory monster. I'm a theory monster too. I learned classical harmony. So in this day and age, what they do is it's a lot of hybrid theory. And I mean, things evolve, things change. So there's nothing bad about that. But for example, what they used to call the melodic minor. So going ascending, meaning going up, and descending are two different things. Descending, it's an actual just natural minor, but now it's called the jazz minor, or hexatonic scales and things like that. Like, for example, in a minor key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 6 notes. So you eliminate the 6th. That's not something I studied in school because that's not, quote, classical, unquote, harmony. That's more modern harmony where they take what we used to call the church modes, and like you can have a synthetic mode. I can say, this is the post-COVID MAB synthetic mode. I can make it up. Oh, yes, it's my mode. Really? It sounds like crap. I don't care. It's mine and I feel it. I feel a certain way when I hear this. It's like, it's the catharsis. It's the post-COVID mode. Because I had the COVID mode that sounded like death. Well, we are approaching a post-COVID era, so things are generally feeling better. And so, but you can make all this stuff up. And I never learned that. But I know enough to not be stupid and be stuck in the past. And so what I can tell you about this, besides the guitar being amazing, you can hear it just killer. I'm beating the heck out of it and I'm not tuning it up. But what I did was I said, what is the best way to learn jazz as a guitar player? That, say, a person that's grown up on rock and, that you really don't have any background in jazz or any of the players. Learn the chords. And so this is what I did. They are on sale with Metal Method right now for the next 2 days. I did a DVD, an instructional program. You can get it via DVD, but we do 99% digital downloads, And it comes with a booklet in PDF form, and I highly recommend that you download the booklet and look at it. My first version of it was handwritten. We just took chord charts and I wrote it. But I'll give you an example. You have a C major 7th chord. Now that is an A7 sharp 5th flatted 9. But here's what's really cool. It's almost like an E flat 9. And so once you start learning these chords, and this is not easy to play, then D minor 7, but it's not like this. It's like this. It's a more jazz way to play. So, and then you have the G7, sharp 5th, flatted 9, like. Resolving to there. So, and then I go. Now here, this chord is death. You think death metal, technical death metal. This is called an augmented 11th. Now you use your thumb. This is not easy to play. So you have this wickedly ugly chord. I kind of like it. And then you add your thumb over 2 strings. These are difficult chords to play. Or for example, a minor 11th. Now there's other ways to play minor 11ths. Like, so you have that D, that's the 11th, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It goes up to 13. So that's why there's no chord higher than a 13th chord. And what they mean by that, it's 13 notes up from your tonic note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And it's usually a dominant chord. You can have a minor. They call that a minor 6th. See, they relate it to, because the 13th tone is the 6th tone, but when you have that 13th, it's got to be like that. And so these are things that I know that I learned, but what I did is I incorporated them into a series of progressions. And one of the great things about jazz is you hear. Now, we would call that, if you took a major scale and add numbers to it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or octave. That's a 1 chord, 6 chord, 2 chord, 5 chord. Now, there's a thing in jazz called a substitution. Now, this is an interesting concept because the C major 7th and E minor 7th have a lot of tones in common. And so you can substitute a major 7th for a minor 7th. Now, it's a difficult concept, but here's what I'm known for. I made it easy. You learn the progression, then the second half is a substitution for the first half. And the best way to learn jazz to start with is to familiarize yourself with the sound. You don't have to know the theory. It's kind of like saying, okay, we're going to do some Sabbath, bro. Like I played earlier. Do you really need to know the keys of the song? Just play the song. And so that's my methodology. It's the same, as being taught like a classical musician. Learn the basics. Familiarize yourself with the sound. And then once the sound starts to sink in, because I see a lot of teachers saying, well, we always apply this to music, whatever they teach. And that's very good. I have a little different take on it. I have a more classical take. You separate the techniques. And once you start to get these techniques down, then you incorporate it in the music. See, it's not, you don't want to practice merging it into one. You want to practice technique music, then merge it. And so what I did with these jazz progressions is I said, okay, you have this here. I'll give you a great example. Here's one of the progressions in these jazz progressions, and they are on sale. And I'm telling you, just to work an chord like this, a minor 11th or an augmented 11th, or like when you go, see, look at, listen to how the sound changes. But just doing a chord like that, it sounds great, and these are very used progressions in jazz, or chords, I should say. Now watch. You have this. I'm in the key of G. Now I'm tuned down a half step. G major 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, D9, D9 sharp 5th. Then I go like this. Watch this. G 6th, C sharp diminished 7, A minor 7, D9, A minor 11th, then A flat 7, flat 5, to G major 7. So a lot of yeah. I'm not trying to impress you with what I know, but here's what's so cool about this. Watch how my fingers move. Just one fret dramatically changes the tone. And so you are learning the sounds of jazz and the fingerings of jazz. Look at that, just A minor 7th here. Then the resolution is beautiful. And so you don't need to know the theoretical foundations of this. I mean, ask Paul McCartney how much he knows about music. Nothing. But then he writes yesterday in phrases of 7. Did you ever think of that? Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. That is a group of 7 measures. Who does that? McCartney. I mean, when he wrote Blackbird, just this part alone. I've talked about this before. Listen to the beauty of the two-part voicing. So you have a chromatic bass line. Bum, 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 bum. It is so beautiful. Johann Sebastian Bach himself could not have written it better. It is a perfectly written contrary motion two-part harmony. And where did he come up with this stuff? Do you think he knew that? No. He's a genius. He's a musical genius. And so you don't always have to know the theoretical applications to this. Just play. And so that's what I did with these jazz progressions. They were supposed to be 25. I think I forgot one on this. I don't know, Doug and I used to crack up about it, but you have at least 24 really good ones. And what we did was, and I really wanted to stress this, it is not only good for your mind, it is great for your fingers, and it's an introduction to the sounds of jazz. And when you work on a chord like this, like look at how easy I play these chords. You're not hearing me going. I mean, look at that chord, an augmented 11th where you have to wrap your thumb around it. And listen to the resolution. See, because you want chords to move and resolve just like Blackbird resolves. There's not much difference from. It's genius. It's so beautifully written as a two-part piece. And the reason why I learned this was when I was at the university at Northeastern studying music, one of my homework assignments was in the class was to take a modern piece. Now, at that time, they were saying like 20th century, within the last 100 years. I could have done Schoenberg, I could have done, Bartok, but they wanted a modern piece. So, they were looking more like, Elvis, Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, Zeppelin, and so what I did was I was working on Blackbird. And I was just messing around. And there was a song by a band called Supertramp that goes, oh yeah, I forgot already. It's like, even in the quietest moments, I wish I knew. And I always loved that song. And I was always thinking of a Genesis song too, called Squonk. Like, and so and then I came across Blackbird. And when I analyzed it and realized that this is a 2-part song form, just like Bach wrote the 2 and 3 part sinfonias, when you hear it. And so when you hear this, it's like unbelievable. And I didn't realize the genius of the Beatles, because my dad used to tell me they didn't write that stuff. It had to be the producer, George Martin. And, because when you hear Paul McCartney talk, he definitely doesn't sound like Einstein. He's very casual when he speaks. But, and I thought to myself, I studied Mozart. He is my all-time favorite composer. And a lot of the times, genius doesn't need... See, sometimes people use big words just to prove how smart they are. See, where somebody like a McCartney doesn't have to prove it. He writes it. He wrote Lady Madonna. He wrote Let It Be. He wrote Yesterday. And so he writes these songs that are immortal, that are up there with the highest level of human intelligence that exists on this planet. And so, but Mozart did the same thing. Like when he wrote really funny letters, and they have a lot of documentation on Mozart, he was really funny. And he had a great sense of humor, and, he was nuts. I think I'm nuts. I'm not equating myself with Mozart, but I have a good time. He had a good time. He was funny. And so if you met him, it would be hard to think that he wrote The Marriage of Figaro, or he wrote these just fantastic, again, immortal songs, and not songs. He didn't write pieces, compositions, the Jupiter Symphony, the Hafner Symphony. Eine kleine Nachtmusik. It goes on, these pieces that Mozart wrote that are so fantastic. I think it was The Marriage of Figaro, the opera. He's in a crowd scene, and he's got like over 17 moving voices at the same time to depict the crowd. This is genius, like above, you can't even, it's almost incomprehensible. And so, but if you talk to him, he didn't come off sounding like this, linguistic wizard. And so, he was really down to earth, from, what people know about him from his writings. And, he was very famous in his day. So, there's a lot documented on him, like Beethoven. And the point is this: the way I teach guitar, my methodology is you don't have to know all the terms. You don't have to know all this stuff. Just play this stuff. And playing it will get your ear adjusted. It will get your fingers acclimated, and it will start you moving in the right direction without somebody going, yeah, like I do during the live streams. And, I've said this time and time again, the live streams are sponsored by Sawtooth. They are sponsored by ChromaCast and GoDPS Music. But I love to talk, and so you can hear the world according to Mikey and my thinking. But if you really want to get the most out of it, get the Metal Method programs. I have 13 programs. These are very comprehensive. But when you hear me talk, you get to hear the background of why I did this. Because I don't do anything when it comes to playing guitar and music without a reason. I have a reason and a method to my madness. And when you hear these jazz progressions, they are fantastic. once you learn just this, like listen to this one. But listen. See, it's just beautiful harmonies, and you don't have to know the theory behind it, but being able to move your fingers in a way that's not typical, to learn these outrageous chords. They're all over the place, just like this. And what you do is you start to see similarities, and your brain musical ability finds a way. People who love to play an instrument find a way to play music. So that's why I'm not concerned about like, well, oh, you always have to, put it towards a song. You don't. You use the techniques individually and compartmentalize technique. A smart person, and we're not talking about, like mathematical geniuses, just somebody who loves to play music will take that technique and merge it to play music. That's the way it goes. That's what people do. People that are musical will find a way to make music, but you don't have to practice everything to make it apply to music. That comes later. Get the techniques, work on that. Like when I would sit there and go, look at today. I can talk, I can play, I can just shred all day. And it's because I will sit there and do my basic exercises. And also, too, for younger musicians, you have something to aspire to. Look at me. I played a shred collab with guys. Most of them were barely half my age. I'm holding my own, and nobody played left-handed standing up, ripping except for me. And I'm not trying to say this to be cool, but I'm saying that my techniques work. I'm living proof of it. I feel good, baby. Joey feels good. Robert is angry. That's good. And so what you have to look forward to is a lifetime of playing at a high level. But these jazz progressions were very important to me when I was younger, and I still mess around with them. They're awesome, and they're on sale from Metal Method. So I'm going to recap everything here. This Satin Black M24 is really inexpensive. It is amazing. It's super light. Really light. And now other guitar companies are seeing what we're doing, and they're starting to open up their mind a little bit and say, but here's the difference. You get one of these from another company, you're going to pay $200 or $300 more, and it's no better. And so, you can talk all you want, just like me. I could talk all day, but people who know me know I've got the videos and the lessons and the methodologies and the career to back it up, because that's what I'm here to help you. But helping you help me. It helped me very early in my career to have students ask me questions that frankly I didn't know the answer, but if I could answer them honestly, answer them truthfully, and say, this is why I do what I do, it not only helped you, it helped me. It was a win-win, and it's always been a win-win. And I've never been afraid to show what I know. But what I know works. Speed Kills works. These jazz progressions works. Sawtooth guitars work great. I have played these not only live and toured, but I've used them extensively in the studio. They are great. They are great world-class guitars. They just don't have to cost a world-class price. So anyway, also too, so we've got this one on sale. Go to the GoDPS app. And then as you see in the comments, we have people from Sawtooth posting about the guitars. Go to Metal Method to get the jazz progressions. It's a 2-day sale. You will not regret it. They are fantastic. And I did the shout-outs. I want to talk to just a little bit about Doug Marks. Doug Marks and I have been friends for a long time. He's like a family member. But he really is the one that put guitar lessons to the masses in video form on the map. And so, you really have to kind of take your hat off to somebody like him who had the vision before anybody was doing it to put this together. and we're still here doing it. That's why I've been with Metal Method so long. I just really enjoy working with Doug, and he's enthusiastic like I am, and he's always trying to do the best lesson that he can, and he inspires me to do the same. And our lessons are production, great quality. Go to my YouTube channel tonight, my version of Hurt. I can really sing. And that's all I'm going to say. And it's a very honest, I love the song, and the meaning is dark. But what I did was, my idea was, at the end of the song, you're going to hear this really cool wang bar. And I used actually the ET, because it's got a locking tremor. It's like, whoa! And then we break into a guitar solo, and it's my way of saying, okay, I've hurt, but I don't hurt anymore. And so when you listen to this, I mean, we picked up the verse on the second verse, and Rob Ross, my best friend in this whole world. I have several best friends, but Rob's like the best of the best friends. And he played on No Boundaries, Rainforest, Full Force, 2X Again. We just have a habit of like really clicking on songs. And he's a fantastic musician, fantastic person. But he really played great, like the intro riff, do 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 bop. When you hear the second verse come in, it reminds me of like Phil Collins and do 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 do. It's really signature. He played really great on it. Go to my YouTube channel. One last thing. Not only are these guitars available right-handed, they're available left-handed. Sawtooth rules. ChromaCast rules. Go DPS Music rules. You rule. I'm Michelangelo Badio. See you.